Was he really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, no shit.
That's how he worked out all of his policies in the camps.
We shouldn't talk about
Big
that.
flat.
Until I connect that to chicken farming. It's just
50 zone.
You know, it's like the name Adolf, right? You can't use it anymore.
Can't have that little mustache anymore.
right?
You can't have a chaplain.
You can't have that cool mustache
Remember
anymore.
Michael Jordan tried for a little while?
Yeah.
Mike, that's how competitive that guy is. He's like, fuck that, I can wear that mustache. He had a Hitler for a while.
I think I can make it happen. I'll make it happen.
He just decided he was gonna force it through.
You know, as far as writing in jail, I'm just thinking about it right now.
Bigfoot rap thing.
One of the
And
other things I had to contend with was
cafe store open.
they would confiscate anything that I wrote. So, you know, like once a week or once every 2 weeks or so.
Why would they do that? Was it illegal to write?
I was considered a security threat by what I was writing. And
because you were telling
when
the
they
truth
first
about what was going on.
that, and then when they sent me in, like I was placed in this like solitary confinement thing, like in the hole, and you know, you're in there, and like, I'd never been anything like that before in my life. I was thinking, this is like fucking Guantanamo, except it made me think about it. I've got due process at least, and so I'm in this like crazy Kafkaesque, mechanized, totalitarian environment. You're in a room where you have no window and the lights are on 24/7. And, you know, I don't care what anybody says. You go to a room 3 days deprived of sound and the understanding of time, you go crazy after 2 days. You're insane. They broke me after 2 days. I was like, oh, I'll just yoga, I'll meditate, no problem. No, after a while, if the lights are on 24/7, you can't hear it. It's like being inside of a seashell. It goes nuts.
Is that by design?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's by design. It's like you're placed into so about once a week, like when I was in population, about once a week, the middle of the night, the lights are down. Suddenly the lights come on bright. The lights are always on. The lights come on bright, and suddenly a bunch of guards come rushing in through the doors and storm into the tank, to the section, and they pull everybody out of their cells. They strip everybody naked. They put you up against a wall, so you're up there with like Sancho. Like everybody's suddenly you're all, you know, one moment you're being kept separate, next thing you know you're all naked together standing up against the wall, and they're going through everybody's cell. They're just ripping your cell apart, looking for anything. Usually they're looking for heroin, shank, or a weapon of some kind, or cell phones, anything. Like they're looking for anything that's considered contraband. Okay, for me, they were looking at my writing, because when I was in solitary that time, like literally on kites. A kite is like a requisition form you send out to the guards. You're not allowed to talk to the guards. They don't want to talk to you. You tell them what you want on a kite, and then you give them the kite, and they take it off. Maybe it gets answered. They never had one answer. And so, they come in, they strip everybody naked, they take all your clothes, and they're under the guise of we're doing a laundry exchange. And so everybody gets new clothes, and you end up with these big baggy pants, something too small for people. And they would look for contraband for everybody. Well, with me, they would look for whatever I was writing, because when I was in solitary, I was writing, like maps. I would map the place like a fucking idiot. Like I still was, I'm writing about, Eisenhower, the guard. I saw him watching, literally saw him watching on a little TV, Nazi propaganda, like Triumph of the Will. It was playing on his TV and he was watching it. Write that down. So they didn't want me writing all my stuff. They were like, that guy is a fucking threat. You get whatever he's written. And so I noticed that whenever I was taken out of my cell to shower, to go to yard, to do whatever, that they would come in and just take whatever I had written. So I learned that they couldn't take or open letters to my attorney. And so, because it's privileged. And so what I would do is I would just write, and then whenever I had to leave my cell, like to go to yard, or if they were raiding the cells, taking everybody out, looking for contraband, I would just quickly seal the envelope. My writing would go in, I always left it when I was working, in the letter to my attorney. And then as soon as they would raid it, I would just seal the envelope, and then that would go out. And he would send that letter to my daughter, who would then type up the pages that I was writing. So that's how I wrote several scripts. It was like that.
Wow.
And yeah, because
What did you say you learned from Roger's writing when you was in prison? What did you?
Where did you publish it? I don't remember where I was reading it.
well,
Was it on Twitter?
I had several things. Okay, so first of all, I was
Junction City's up next.
Yep.
I was sentenced to go to a low security, like a country club facility. I went to a low security facility, and I went in there, and you have access to stuff. It's more like a camp almost, and you're there and you're incarcerated, but it's a light incarceration almost. And I had access to a cell phone, and so I started tweeting. And these were the early days of Twitter. And so I started tweeting, oh, they found tar heroin and so in Pudgy's cell. And, they dragged him off. And, oh, they, this happened over here. Oh, they, so-and-so shanked so-and-so. Oh, they've rolled up so-and-so and taken him away. I was like tweeting this stuff. And this is the early days of Twitter. And Roger Ebert, who was like, at that time, the biggest on Twitter, was following me. And he put me on blast. Like he suddenly decided that he would tell and like all of a sudden one day overnight, like the story kind of went everywhere in the world.
Pinching Point Campground.
Well, he just told everybody that, oh, this is happening. Roger Avery, Academy Award-winning writer, is tweeting from jail and tweeting from behind bars.
Did he have
At the time, now it's like nothing. People do it all the time. People like
Suge Knight's doing podcasts.
I've got a friend who's one of those January 6 guys, and he's sends me like tweets all the time. Like
You got a friend
This
who's
is
a
like
January
early
6
days
guy?
now.
yeah.
You got a friend who was a January 6 guy?
Well, he's still there. He's like hundreds of days in jail without any kind of without trial.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but like that's not how it's supposed to be, is
It's
it?
not how it's supposed to be.
You're supposed to have a due process of some kind.
Well, especially when you watch the actual footage of how it went down.
Oh, I watched it live, and
Yeah.
there was that guy, that Antifa guy, waving people in, like moving them in.
Yeah.
They were moving the blockade things. They were moving out, and cops were waving people in. They were opening the doors for
I
people.
want you to think about it this way. In the most heavily armed nation the world has ever known, why would you have an insurrection with no guns?
They're gonna have guns, machine guns.
Those guys weren't planning on an insurrection.
No.
And then you have the factor that there was agents in the crowd. And we don't know how many. There's government agents in the crowd that were inciting people to go in.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
And I want to know who that cop was who shot that woman.
Yeah.
What about that?
Yeah. The whole thing's crazy.
Yeah,
The whole thing's crazy. And then there's this thing, the cops died. No cops died that day. That's not true.
Yeah.
The cop who died, he died of a stroke. And I believe it was a stroke or a heart attack. But
Well,
it
like
wasn't-
everything, there's a lot of misinformation being given to us by the mainstream.
But it gets
media.
attributed to it, sort of like when, anything happens to anyone 4 years after the vaccine, they attribute it to the vaccine. Oh, it was the vaccine.
Yeah.
Could have been the guy just had a fucking heart attack. But this guy who was a cop, he did not die. He was not killed by the protesters. And you watch the video of the shaman dude with the fucking buffalo hat. They're walking him around. The cops are
they're
guiding
showing him around. No,
They're
it was-
guiding him. How would you ever think that is going to let you wind up in jail? How would you ever think that if you're an unsophisticated guy who was wearing fucking face paint and you're kind of a kook, you think you're part of a movement, which is really scary, People get a part of a movement and they, fucking yeah, we're all doing it. And then you've got literal government agents encouraging you to do it, moving barriers, letting you in. They were playing chess and these idiots were playing checkers.
Yeah, that
and they
makes
all,
sense. That
they all
that
got
makes a
locked
lot of
up.
sense. Yeah, like
Because nobody was doing an insurrection. It wasn't an
Yeah,
insurrection.
you don't do an insurrection without weapons. The whole idea is crazy.
So there was no presumption that there was going to be any kind of that you were going to get thrown in jail for 1,000 days. And so my
No, they
pal
thought they were doing
Jake
protests.
Lang is he's been there forever. Every now and then I get a picture of him. He's been at look, I deserve to go to jail. That guy doesn't, and most of those guys.
Yeah, I think
Are you tired,
it was a
Ashley?
bad decision.
Yeah, a little
Certainly to go into the Capitol. It was a bad decision to smash windows. But I want to know who was
People
doing
had been smashing things for a
Right.
whole year before that.
Right. That's a very good point.
It's like we were a culture of smashing things at that point.
It's also, as soon as you find out that there were government agents that may or may not have incited people to go in, the whole thing fucking changes. Like, what are you trying to do? Are you there to serve and protect, or is there some other weird shit going on? Because it seems like there is, and no one wants to talk about it because you don't want to be that guy. But at a certain point in time, you should be that guy. You just go, what's going on, man?
There comes a point where men of good conscience must stand up and speak out against things that are obviously wrong.
Yeah.
And that is one of them.
Yeah, that is one of them. That's a big one. It's a weird one. And, you know, there's all this pushback about Trump getting into office. He said one of the first things he said was he was going to release all the January 6th prisoners. How long do you think they should be in there for? Who's opposing this?
They should
Who's
at least
opposing this?
be going to trial.
Yes.
You should at least be going to trial.
Right.
It is unconscionable to hold somebody for over a year, 2 years now.
Well, the thing is, the government has always had a situation where we talked about it in our episode of the Anderson trial. Is the one charge that the government can put against you, they don't need direct evidence, is conspiracy. If they arrest you for conspiracy, that means they don't have direct evidence, but they don't need direct evidence
Well,
for conspiracy.
by the way, when I was
Like just sorry, one thing. That's how they got Manson.
Right.
oh yeah, that's true.
Right.
All right.
Well, they knew what Manson had done because they were helping him.
Yeah. Well, I believe that too because.
Did you read Chaos?
Which one's the best?
One of the
Believe me,
best
I read every
books ever.
Manson book that there possibly could read, and then I read that one. I throw the rest of them away in
Yeah.
fucking trash.
Chaos is insane.
Chaos is just fantastic, and he helped me too because my first CD is a friend of his, Bill Clark.
Oh, wow.
And when I was writing the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood book, I go deeper into the Manson stuff, and so I had a couple of little questions in my head that I always kind of wanted to know the answer to. So I got Tom's number and I called him up, and I was able to ask him some really super direct questions that really helped my book.
It's a crazy fucking story.
Oh.
You know, when I was in jail, I found out they record everything. They're just constantly recording. And so somebody's in there and they're like, man, I'd like to kill the DA. Well, that's conspiracy. And so they'll wait and like, oh, you're about to get out. And like they'll literally start walking around like, stop.
Oh, God.
Remember that thing you said about conspiracy? Let's play that back for you.
Oh,
Or
God.
what you said about killing the DA? Well, that's, you're going away again. You're going back to trial. That happened a lot.
But it's also...
Don't ever talk.
They put guys in your cell and get you talking about shit.
Oh yeah, that happened right away. That happened right away. They're trying to get you to
Approaching Junction City.
like a fun game.
What a fun game. What a fun game. To serve and protect. Incriminate you deeper.
Well, I had as Quentin will confirm, I have my authority issues. I always have. I always have. I'm suspicious of anyone in power, and
You should be.
yeah.
It's intoxicating.
We go like this. Okay, so we're going to take a part of the thing in our show. I'm getting back to the book in a second. I'm changing this one. When we do our show, the thing is, when we do our show, we talk about 3 movies. So I pick 3 video cassettes,
The show we're talking about is the Video Archives podcast, which is
which are our second season.
patreon.com/Video Archives.
But the thing is, all right, so it's like there's like the main movie, then there's that second movie that's like kind of like the main movie, but probably you don't know that much about it. Some wild exploitation movie. What is this?
45 Zone.
One of the things is about our show is I don't say, hey Roger, so find these movies and you watch them and I'll watch them and we'll get together and we'll do it on the phone too, all right? And then we do this. All right, we get together to watch the movies together.
Junction City, we are.
And watching the movie together
The
through
reason that
watching it through his eyes.
The reason we came up with the idea of the show is like when we reconnected, we started doing what we used to do.
During the pandemic.
Yeah, and then we were sort of like, well, hey, let's come up with
Dutch Creek Road.
Right, so me and Roger will get together and we'll watch 3 movies, sometimes even 4, and then we'll get together. Then we have a day off, and then we get together on another day, and then we record. And we're always in the
Sky Ranch Road.
Roger comes over to watch the films. I've kind of learned that it's like, Roger, I'm starting. It's 3 movies we're gonna watch. I am starting the first movie 20 minutes after you get here. Because Roger will just get off of some arcane piece of thing.
The Earth is flat. The Earth is flat.
And the next thing you know, all right, it's been an hour and 15 minutes later, and you're getting further and further and further away, all right, from the alchemy we're trying to create with the first movie. So now it's a little, in 20 minutes, I'm hitting play. That's it. So wrap it up.
That's a problem with podcasts. When people come over, sometimes we have some of the best conversations before the podcast. So now I have to be rude. I'll be like, stop. Let's
Rifle
stop.
range.
Come on in.
Let's you catch that.
Yeah, you gotta catch it because it is weird. It's a weird thing. You know, it's a beautiful thing because it's so open. You know, there's no studio people.
Oh, no,
yeah.
No, even the idea. I mean, what the idea that this has replaced the talk shows that we grew up watching, and like those guys were the kings.
Yeah.
The fact that podcasting, you're the king of it, the fact that podcasting has replaced that, but also the fact that anybody that's got something intelligent, has got a cool little setup, has got an interesting personality, and it can sell an interesting conversation, theoretically can start a podcast.
100%. Yeah. The barrier to entry is so low. I think about the barrier to entry when you wanted to be a director.
Oh, yeah, Jesus.
It's fucking crazy.
Not only that, you know, like the old days of television, you know, like Desi, we own our content. Like you own your content.
Yeah.
And never mind that it's a podcast. I'm okay with that. I like the fact that this is something where, for the first time in my life at least, I'm involved with something where there is nobody else. It's me and Quentin who decide everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, if Quentin wants to do it, we go there. If I want to do it, we go there. Well, I talk to Quentin, and if Quentin allows it, we go there. I mean, basically what we're doing is the same thing we used to do that's true, at the video store. We do what we used to do at the video store. We're talking
When you're
about
it's
movies.
completely terrible, I have to kill switch, but other than that...
No, I didn't mean it like that.
I never used to kill switch.
But the kill switch is always there.
No, not really. Well, I guess theoretically.
But you know what?
But you want a theoretical sort of Damocles hanging over your head.
Most times when you've used the kill switch, you've used it on your own.
I use it on myself.
You used it on yourself. You actually haven't used it on any of my things that I've wanted to do. Because we're like, but basically we're doing the same thing we used to do. We used to sit around and talk about movies. And so during the pandemic, you know, Quentin called me up, and we hadn't talked. We had bumped into each other. But we hadn't really. We had a little bit of a.
We had a falling out.
And I call it a sort of a business-related falling out. Maybe if I had been a little more mature, I was young as a filmmaker, and probably unprepared to deal with the complexities of agents and attorneys and Hollywood and money, the press's agenda, and all of that. I was just approaching it like I'm a SoCal Gen X punk filmmaker. That was how I approached it. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do. I'm going to make the movie that I want to make, and with that attitude of, you know, I know what I want and I know what's right, and nobody can tell me I'm wrong. Because you have to be a little bit of a maniac to be a director. You have to be willing to say, no, I'm right, even when everyone is telling you you're wrong. And
is that how Joker 2 got made?
I like Joker 2.
I know you did.
I like Joker 2
I haven't seen it. I'm just fucking around.
I will defend Joker 2.
Yeah, I'll defend the movie as well.
Not that I need more fucking press on that.
I can't wait to watch it and then talk to you about it afterwards. Because Tim Dillon said it's the worst fucking movie that's ever been made, and he's in it.
You know, that may have colored his perception though.
Oh, but Tim thinks everything sucks. That's like the beauty of Tim. No matter what everybody's saying is amazing, like Tim loves to talk shit
I gotta
Austin.
tell you, the funniest thing that I've heard for a while on YouTube, when I was listening to you guys talk, he's a guy, I never really listened to his show or anything like that.
He's fucking brilliant.
But when he was on your thing talking about the election, and when he described Tim Walz as like, well, that guy's a goofball who just should be at a county fair eating hot dogs.
Spin Master.
I laughed for 15 minutes and played it back about 3 different times.
Spin
That
Master.
was such a funny podcast.
He's always
Sorry.
funny.
Sorry.
He said it sounds like Kamala Harris is
Sorry.
doing voodoo curses. She's doing gypsy curses, he said.
Sorry, I
She speaks in gypsy curses. And he always does the show with these fucking crazy glasses on, like that's his new thing. If you ever watch his show, it's the best because it's literally just him ranting and a producer. And the ability to rant as a singleton operator, as a fucking lone person out there without anybody to bounce ideas off of, is a rare talent.
Yeah.
And he's the best at it I've ever seen. Bill Burr's really good at it as well, but Tim Dillon is the best at it I've ever seen. He's so fucking good at it, and he's just basically performing to one person who's his producer.
Yeah.
And he's just ranting. And so because of that, he's got this crazy muscle that he's developed from years of doing that, where he just rants about all these different things, but it's fucking brilliant.
I like ranting.
Oh yeah,
as
clearly.
you
both
know.
do. Well, that's the great thing about you guys doing a podcast together. What I was going to get to is like, in the beginning, you're talking about replacing the talk show. Well, fucking, you guys replaced Siskel and Ebert, right? Because Siskel and Ebert.
Want to do.
Thank you.
They're gone.
That was actually the agenda that Quentin proposed to me.
Well, both those guys are gone. You know what I love watching is videos of like outtakes of those guys like bitching at each other. They fucking hated each other.
yeah.
They were so shitty to each other, and then they had to be smiley and what a bullshit way to live.
Do you remember when Vincent Gallo wished testicular cancer on Roger Ebert, and then he got it?
Oh, wow.
Do you remember that?
Okay, I do.
Cancer
Now
of
that
the
you bring
mouth.
it up,
Yeah, like-
Right, like he lost his jaw. Like they had to remove his jawbone.
That was Vincent Gallo cursing it onto
Oh, voodoo's
and he
real.
apologized after you. Oh my God, I didn't. I think he got.
Well, I think it was
Well, that
after
might have,
Roger
like,
Ebert,
led
after
him.
Roger Ebert said that Brown Bunny is the worst film to ever play in the history of con film.
That's exactly what happened. And then he went, he cursed him, and then the curse came true, and then he regretted it. I talked to him, he was like, I wish I'd never done that.
It's crazy if it really worked. That movie,
Weaverville.
Brown, I want to talk about that because I've always thought it's so strange that we can show violence but we can't show sex. And I know they tried to do that with like, you ever see the lines outside the movie theater when Deep Throat came out?
Yeah.
Carson was in line.
Yeah.
Johnny Carson went to see Deep Throat
Bing
in a public
Crosby.
theater.
I heard stories about Bing Crosby who arrived at midnight.
Because
Good gas
people
mileage.
didn't know what they were seeing yet. It hadn't been defined as a genre. There was nudie movies that people watched at stag parties.
There's that little moment in 70s
In Weaverville.
porno chic.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and there were-
Stallone did Italian Stallion.
Yeah, but that wasn't the popular thing. This was,
Right.
and everyone had to kind of see it, and like, oh, hey, maybe this will be a thing.
Right.
Maybe this will be a thing now that like one or three or four porno movies will come out every year that'll be like kind of considered like real movies. You know,
Right.
that couples will go see.
Yeah.
And that was the whole thing, was promoting the idea of couples going to see
A porn film.
either porno films or just heavily erotic movies.
Right.
You know, like for sexy nights.
Yeah, not like
As
Travis
a sex-
Bickle.
as a
Not like
sexy
how
night.
Travis Bickle does it.
No, as a sexy night. Now we're gonna go. We're gonna have a sexy night. We're gonna go out and see, and then we'll go home and we'll take care of business.
Right. Yeah. But
And it didn't really happen. But
No.
there was this hope in the early '70s that could happen.
Well, it's fascinating that it didn't happen because what I was going to get to is like violence. We don't have any problem with, but we all agree that consensual sex is way better than someone getting shot in the face.
Yeah.
But people get shot in the face in movies constantly. You see heads explode and arms getting lopped off.
Bread and
Game
butter.
of Thrones.
Bread and butter.
It's constant.
I
Well,
think
they-
it's
they-
actually gone too far. I mean, this is coming from
Violence?
me. Well, it's not that violence has gone too far. It's the meaningless violence has gone. Violence without purpose, almost. And I started to recognize this during Walking Dead, but really Game of Thrones. You mentioned Game of Thrones. Like, I loved Game of Thrones at first, and then I started realizing, wait a minute, like, they're getting off on me falling in love with characters, and then the moment I've fallen in love with a character, suddenly they're vivisecting their genitals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, and then the cycle begins again. You fall in love with a
Right.
different character,
But if
and then they're killing them, and they're just doing it like sadistically, because there's nowhere to go other than that. They're just pushing the ceiling higher and higher.
Sort of, but also, if you were living in that world, that would be reality. nobody lived forever and became the hero of the fucking movie. There's no heroes back then. Everybody's getting gutted. They're getting usurped. They're like
Thrown into a dungeon.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. People getting
you're
fed
out.
the
You're out
lions.
of the picture.
It's just you're getting eaten by dogs. This is real.
And now you have to fight for the next 5 years against the rats.
Yeah.
They're in the fucking dungeon.
But television, at least the television I grew up with, was all about like the familiarity of returning to the characters you love.
Yeah, but there was plenty of characters.
Yeah.
And you did get to return to the ones that stuck around and didn't get their heads
I just wish
lopped
they
off.
killed other characters.
Let me give you
Not
another-
anyone else.
I love that.
Let me give you another example of my. Everyone talks about how great television is now, and it's pretty good. I gotta say, it's pretty good, but it's still television to me. And what's the difference between television and a good movie?
All right, we're going to Burger King.
Because a lot of the TV
Oh, get
now
something to eat
has
for
the
us?
patina
Yes.
of a
We're gonna get something to eat.
Get something to eat
Alright,
for lunch.
they're using cinematic
Oh, you could have gone that way, but
Alright.
we're gonna grab something to eat while we're in Louisville.
and personal relationships.
Got
The
me,
story
yeah.
is good itself, but there's a payoff to it. But there's not a payoff on this stuff. It's
Sean
just
Parker,
more
why are you still filming?
interconnectional drama. And while I almost brought up.
Could you turn the Joe Rogan up?
No, but let's just
You're gonna get a copyright claim, Parker. No, stop.
Greatest ratings of Dress to Kill I've ever seen.
I'm not getting any claims at all.
In my living room,
This is
watching it.
audio from
On VHS.
On
source that
VHS,
you
on
don't
VHS,
own.
pan and scan. All right. The old one.
Do I have to delete it?
Video. We watch them on. We watch them on the actual video cassettes of Video Archives. All right.
Literally, the tape that we used to rent and handle and shuffle and put back
Yeah.
and forth into the drawers and then rent to customers, and that has been sitting on the shelves with the number on it and everything for the
We've
computer.
seen the movie a bunch of times. There's something about watching it with the three of us and then just sitting there. And it's
The
so
Kia
good.
Forte.
But it was Roger who was adding to it. It was Eli that was adding
We're
to
seeing
it,
it
and
through
I
their
was
eyes.
adding to them.
Yeah.
You know, and like we just had this like appreciation for the movie, watching it with the three of us in this situation. The fact that we even considered not even watching it was just like sacrilege.
And we saw things in it that we had never seen before. That was the other
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
I saw things during that screening because of feeling watching the movie with you guys that I had never thought about. And so it opened up all sorts of avenues. And, you know, most frequently you watch a movie and it doesn't live up. I'm afraid to watch movies.
Doing like control burning or.
That was just one of those happy incidences where the movie really lived up. It stayed strong.
I got trash
Even
in
when
there, dude.
we'd seen it hundreds
I
of
got
times.
trash.
I mean, you could not. It'd be
Yeah,
hard to
I-
pick a movie that I've seen as much as Jessica.
I got trash.
See, this is the better version.
My burger, I got my napkin.
This is exactly what I'm talking
Burger
about.
was good. I
The
love
completely unproduced,
Burger King's pretty
uninfluenced
good. The
version.
Whoppers are. I always like the Whoppers. Yeah, Whoppers are good too. It's the first time. It's been a while having Whoppers, bro. Back to Burger King
3 or
again.
4 years time.
It's been a while having it.
100%. It's just a matter of getting it out there.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's just a bunch of people that aren't aware of it yet.
Pretty tasty
They
food.
will come.
Yeah.
Hold it,
Oh,
hold it,
wow.
hold it, and they will come. What I love about the way we're doing it, because our first season we just
I like getting out.
put it out, and we had a partner with Sirius XM back then. And this season, you
Yeah,
know,
they kind of went out of business and in their own podcasting spring a little bit.
Oh, did they? I think they Pandora now, right?
Yeah, they kind of turned into a different thing.
They
just
just
changed
signed
their
a big
whole-
podcast deal with the Caller Daddy chick.
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah. So I guess they're trying to get back into it.
Well,
And
that's
I
what
think
it
some
was.
other people as well.
They paid us a lot of money, and like we actually did pretty good for like our little archaic little movie
yeah,
show that goes on about 2 hours.
it's a real
everything.
niche type.
Yeah, and we.
Hey, Sean, can you hold on to that
You
bag?
guys do Jaws? No,
There's a garbage can of
But that's the best part of it. Do whatever the fuck you want to do.
that's exactly it. But the thing is, they were like.
There's a garbage can at Dad's house.
So we actually had about like
Throw it
200
out.
listeners, which was like, hey, that was pretty good for
Yeah.
us doing a little stupid movie show
That's awesome.
about VHS, and it's all about VHS. It's about the VHS.
So we're talking about the box art
We're
of
talking about the
VHS
box
tapes.
art. We watch them and we talk about the trailers that are in front of them. All right, and we talk about the transfer.
By the way, the movie VHS is one of my guilty pleasures.
That's a good film.
It's a good movie. The one with the devil lady.
Yeah.
She turns into a
Well,
devil.
the 4 different stories, or 3 different stories. Yeah.
But that one is worth it. Just sit through the other 3 for that one. The devil lady. She's fucking amazing.
But I think they were expecting us to do like
Citizen Kane.
They were going to do like Dak Shepard kind of films. Like,
Right.
yeah. They're going to do with that with what we're doing.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, and so we're
But
talking.
you could though. People want to see it. They want to listen to it. It's just a matter of just it being. They'll realize they wanted it once they hear it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's like, oh, we want them to only talk about Citizen Kane. No.
We've
It's
got
gotta be whatever
Union
the fuck
Hill
they
Road.
actually want to talk about.
But when
And then you'll learn about that movie that you never heard about. Maybe you go see it, and then you'll have a deeper appreciation of why these guys love movies.
But one of the things that was interesting when we did it was, okay, so when we made a deal, we're thinking, okay, well, maybe we'll do it here for 2 years. And we own the show, and then we want to take it to Patreon so we don't have to do commercials.
Right.
Okay. And now when I did commercials, I did it with a 70s DJ announcer voice, all right? Because I felt like such a sellout, and I'm not going to do it in my voice. The Datsun 750 is coming, and it's coming soon. You know, and I did it like the real Don Steele. That was my whole thing. Doing it like the real Don Steele.
I just did those readings like myself, and people started commenting on Twitter. They were like, "Man, Roger Avery."
ZipRecruiter can fill your placement in a week.
Like,
Some people even get in the first week. They get qualified candidates only on ZipRecruiter.com.
Look,
Got Douglas
I like
City.
Solo stoves, they're great, but like I found myself doing like stainless steel ads basically, and talking about Solo stoves, and suddenly people on Twitter were saying Roger Avery will sell you sour milk from a sick cow. It's like, well, I don't know if I want to like be shilling stuff like that anymore.
Well, you just have to only approve the ads that you want to do. Like, I approve ads. I don't, like, just let them give me every ad. I'm like, I can't do this one.
Well,
And I say it all the
But our
time.
thing,
We're not even under that kind of pressure.
yeah, the thing about it.
Don, Sean, did you fart in the car? That's bad.
There's a whole bunch of, we'll use
Really happy.
there's a whole bunch of listeners. But, you know, we'll put
I did.
a 40-minute version of the show out there for free.
Good burger,
If you want
but
to
it
get
was
the
alright.
whole show, then you've got to
The fries were very salty,
you
so a
gotta
lot of
subscribe. And if you
Salty
just subscribe, you
fries.
get the
And
show.
not burgers, yeah.
Pay $5, you get
And I
the
had
show.
salty fries too.
And if you pay
Very
$8,
salty.
then you
King
get
has a
an
lot of
extra
salt
special
fries.
show that we do. And we're going to
There's still a truncated version of it available for everybody to listen to. You like the first part of it? Yeah, come for the rest.
Yeah,
But
but
the thing
yeah,
is,
burgers on the menu.
what I like, and some people are sort of like,
Not the
"Hey,
Whopper."
fuck you guys." I'm like, well, okay, fine. And look, I get it. I'm
Oh,
the
wait,
guy
over.
that in my 20s would go to happy hour at the bar, all right, and nurse a beer
Oh,
while
yeah,
I
going
ate all the
over.
pizza and the chicken wings. And that was my dinner.
Why are we speeding?
So I get that. You know, and by the way,
Police cars going by,
you know, if you want to like wait till the end of our season and then join for a month and listen to all of our shows that way, you can.
What a
That's an easy
cop
way to
car.
get everything for free for a month. You can get everything you want in a month.
Somebody's in a hurry.
But that's not who we're doing it for. We're doing it for the people who care about the show and are subscribing to it. And those people, those are our audience.
Right.
And then they write on the message
Are they
board,
calling
and we
that
write
person
them
over
back, and like
Really?
Yeah,
we're
the
doing it for
cops.
those people. And as long as we
They're
can make
pulling the
enough to
studio.
just do the show,
Oh, the
Right.
we're cool.
Oh, the whole
And the
Super
general
over.
feeling is, well, this is like a $5 film school, because you've got a couple of guys
there's not-
talking about movies and talking about how to watch movies, how to appreciate films, how to read a film, and then
And hopefully, just
Somebody off.
genuinely compelling discussions.
Car got
and
pulled
using
over
our
by the
experience as
cops.
filmmakers to discuss even deeper into the movies and to better understand them, and it's
Pulled over by a cop.
largely something has happened in culture where people, they don't know how to argue anymore politely. They don't know how to enjoy
it's very
an argument with
isolated,
each other
down.
before. And so Clinton and I, we don't have to
That's
like the
isolated.
same movie, just like Siskel and Ebert didn't have to
Right.
like it. But we can argue about something, and then afterwards it's like, okay, let's go do karaoke now.
It's not a recommend show. We want to pick 3 movies
Right.
and we want to discuss them.
Yeah.
And
You don't have to like it to
even
discuss
if we
it.
don't like the movie, if there's an interesting point of discussion about it, well, that's good. That's all we need. We just need an interesting an interesting conversation
Yeah.
to have about it. It's not about we recommend you watch this movie.
Right.
Personally, I don't care if anybody watches any of the movies that we talk about. I want them to listen to the show and enjoy our back and forth.
You get to understand how you appreciate movies.
Yeah, if you want to go out and check the movies out afterwards, fine, go ahead. But I don't care if you do or not.
And we have a really like dedicated group of people who have come and they've signed up, and they like I really. What's funny is I really care about these people now. It's like they're there and they're like in the club. It's like a clubhouse.
Yeah.
And the people who want to be there and
Steel
they're
Bridge.
talking, and they're talking. They're on a message board with Quentin, and you know, Eli Roth is there, and Edgar Wright, and like everybody is like. And so it's we wanted to create something that was like video archives, and that people could come in and talk.
And I want at least one of the 3 movies, not every week, but at least I want to. They're not easy to find. I want to come up with like, well, that's not streaming anywhere. How am I supposed to get this? Well, it's on VHS. You know, get a VHS recorder and buy it on eBay. All right. And now all of a sudden that little group is like, well, maybe we can buy hey, maybe if we buy VHS and then we can we'll burn it and we can trade it with everybody else.
Yeah.
And now they're all doing the work to do that. Well, good.
My daughter Gala is one of our producers on the show, and she's on the show with us. And one of her things is like we get together and we watch the movies at video archives, and then we know the films, and then she doesn't have that access.
She doesn't access the she's not there with us.
She's like she represents one of the people out there. She's got to find it. So if Quentin finds something that's pretty difficult to find, she's got to track it down, and she usually has a timetable to do it on. And she kind of is doing her proof of concept on she'll find it on VHS.
She explains how she tracked it down, and
so
you can follow her guide.
It's on YouTube.
However, she goes, Quentin, I just couldn't track this one down. I'm like, yes!
Yeah. I think that's the real reason.
Approaching Poker Bar Mount.
That's right!
Shit! Gotcha!
Is everything on YouTube now?
A lot of things. Not everything, but a lot.
A lot of things.
Yeah, there's some certain things you can't find on YouTube still.
And if it's up there and it's not there, it'll be up again somewhere. It's like whack-a-mole.
Right.
It's like whack-a-mole.
There was the Gore Vidal film, the transsexual movie with Raquel Welch.
Yeah.
Oh, we watched that. We didn't do an episode on it, but I have the video of it.
Yeah. The Kia Forte.
Well, the idea
What's the guy in the end?
Sean, what'd you say? I'm okay. I'm okay, dude.
I'm alright too.
Hey, Parker. Hey, Isaac. I'm okay. I feel fucking safe. I'm fine.
John, if you're gonna puke in the bag, okay?
I'm not throwing up. I'm not gonna throw up. I'm not throwing up.
I read the book afterwards because I thought it was like so cool.
I'm not throwing up.
I never liked Rex Reed,
No,
and I'm not gay, but I was actually like, wow, Rex Reed's kind of hot.
Well, that's what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
That was the whole movie.
You did it.
Gore Vidal was trying to turn you gay.
Give me that look. Get it.
That's one of those weird ones. It's difficult to find. I had to buy a DVD to get it.
Oh, I like the line she has that keep building up to it. Which you guys
Alright, we got 40 miles.
20 miles to Dallas? 40 miles to Dallas. Yep, we'll be at Dad's house at 40 miles.
I think Raquel was just
We're not gonna be there yet. We have 40 miles to
Those
his house.
debates that Gore Vidal did with
We'll be arriving at
they almost like the fist fights.
Yeah.
So we'll probably be there
Yeah.
around.
But this is, you used to.
Gore Vidal.
Oh yeah. Well, he's just.
We left
He was
at like
right.
12.
Yeah, his right knee's back.
Yeah, he's
And
right.
then you have Gore Vidal fighting with fucking Norman Mabel.
Yeah.
What were they fighting about?
Oh no, just they get on they get him on like the Dick Cavett show.
Eastbound on 299.
And he would talk to him like a Ponzi bastard, and the other one would talk to him like a Neanderthal.
I'm sure they had dinner after.
But just you used to be able to have those kind of conversations on television, which is really fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like now they exist in podcasts, and like the Siskel and Ebert thing. What I was talking about is like you can't manufacture friendship, and you can't manufacture real interest. You can't be a guy who was a local news reporter who auditioned for the role of the guy who reviews movies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly.
It's like this thing that you guys have is what this is the whole new media movement. It's based on authenticity, right? And this is like the whole thing. And you want people to not be able to find these movies. You want to just review movies that you want to review, and that's the beautiful thing about it. It's like the perfect show in that regard. Like for a film review show or a film discussion show, it's the perfect show.
And also, when a customer used to come into the store, they had basically 3 requirements. I want something that's
Fun large.
Always the first one. That's good that I haven't seen yet. And I was like, well, if you haven't seen it yet, it's new to you. So that takes care of 2 of those. And no, we don't have that new one, but let's show you something interesting. So it was always a matter of,
Well, the thing is, one of the things that like, and there's a lot of movie shows out there on the podcast, and they talk about stuff. Well, the idea is to just say, oh, we're better than all those guys. We're not coming to them. But I'll tell you what bugs me about a lot of the other shows is the fact that the people are sincere. They're completely sincere, but their film knowledge is fucking abysmal. They really don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And especially when they're trying to like talk about movies from like the 70s or something. Well, they were usually born in the 80s. So they don't know what something was like when it opened up, and they don't really have any context. They definitely don't have context. That's what they don't know. They don't have context. They just know whatever they've learned along the way, and so they just yank stuff out of their ass and just and say stuff that's just wrong a lot. They're just misinformation a lot. We actually fact check our shit.
Yep, approaching Buckhorn.
I am okay, yes.
Keep looking at the road.
Yeah, I'll keep my eyes on the road.
If not, I'm gonna stop the car for 5 hours, Sean.
You're not gonna stop.
Until you're not sick anymore.
You're not gonna stop for 5 hours.
I'm gonna stop the car.
No, you're not.
Record it,
I
all right,
will.
to make sure that we
You're not
just
gonna stop.
don't yank shit
All right,
out
where's
of
the
it.
next
And we-
turnout
There is a
lane?
little bit
We're
of
gonna have to
yanking stuff
find
out
it.
of your ass, but
We're
when
gonna
I'm
have
not
to
sure
stop.
about it, we
Why-
look
why-
it up
why have
and
to
if it's
stop?
wrong,
Sean is
then we
sick.
change it.
I'm not
well, then
sick.
also, there's the fact that
Just don't
You can
don't
count
don't
on what
stop
we're
the
saying,
car.
that we're telling you the truth
I
fucking
swear to
shit.
God,
We're
don't
giving
stop.
you, I consider it as...
He's
consider
not
it as a
sick,
film
I can tell you
expert
that.
Just don't stop. You're not gonna sit here for 5 hours.
My show wouldn't be
How
worth
about
listening
1
to
hour?
if I don't get, if I
No.
don't tell you the truth.
We don't wanna sit here very long.
Very long sit time.
also because
No,
you
we're
were
not
there
gonna let
during
you
the
stop
opening
right
of the
there.
film.
No,
and,
let's do it.
you
Don't
know,
stop.
because we were
Dude, no.
Yeah.
we
Are you
have the
kidding me?
context. We talked about a lot of
Dude,
things
don't
they
stop.
Maybe didn't
I'm just kidding.
see.
No,
these
you're not. Keep
movies
going.
in theaters.
And the thing is, you know... it's
Yeah.
like, you know,
I'm just-
my writing guru as far as like
No, we're not.
film writing, but I think writing in general was the New Yorker film critic Tommy Kail, and she had one rule for film criticism, and I think this apply to all writing.
It's like 80 miles
You
away.
have to give the reader a compelling reason to read your language. It's that fucking simple. It's that there has to be a compelling reason for you to engage in reading analysis. And the same thing about talking about stuff. You have to give a compelling reason. Now, yeah, I like the guys. That's a good start. I like their personality. I think they're kind of funny. That's a good start. But there has to be something more.
Well, that's what you just do. This is passion for it, right? That's what's more than that. It's just this like severe commitment. That's what's exciting.
And then when we talk about the movies, we talk about everything that's good about it. We talk about the things that aren't good.
Right. Honest.
Yeah, very honest. Yeah, and I can be wrong. I don't have to be right about it. It's
You
just
might be
my
wrong about the Joker.
Yeah,
Sure.
It's audacious. It's audacious.
Because you haven't even seen it. You're just jumping on the fucking bandwagon.
I'm just talking shit.
I'm
just trying to wind you up. I'm just trying to wind you up. Sorry. What's like an example of a film that you love that other people hate, other than the Joker?
I don't know if I loved it, but okay, I liked it. I have a ton of them. As a matter of fact, I have so
Oh,
many.
Sean,
But-
you're sick?
but when I was
No.
younger,
Oh,
particularly,
Alright.
You're not pulling
Here's
over.
I was
spot.
the champion
Don't
of
pull
like
over.
the movie that
Dude.
everyone, that all the critics
Don't
put
pull
down and said was the fiasco. And I
just
wanted
need to
Are you,
find
is it because you're contrarian?
Don't stop
Can I
the car.
guess?
yeah.
Is it Ishtar?
Just don't stop.
Well,
You
I
like
defended
Ishtar?
Ishtar. I
What?
defended 1941.
He was like one of the champions of his
High
show.
champion. Ishtar champion 1941.
Pushing that tape on so many customers.
Yeah.
How many of them came back angry?
No, it's a funny movie. It's a funny movie.
Is it really?
Well, the problem with Ishtar, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, the problem with Ishtar is that, but about the production.
Yeah.
And so people had formed an opinion about whether they
'Cause it
liked
was
it
so
or not
expensive.
because it was expensive. It's like it doesn't change your ticket price.
No, but that is the kiss of death. If you feel like a film is over budgeted.
Especially comedy.
Yeah.
It's like critics have a thing about, like, you know, spending a lot of money on comedies. It seems obscene to them.
What happened with this film? Like, where'd the budget go south?
Well, where the budget kind of went south for the most part was the fact that like Warren Beatty and Dustin Hoffman kind of like had their full freight on the movie. So Dustin Hoffman got his big salary, Warren Beatty got his big salary, and so
And all the accoutrements that go with
and
it.
everything that goes with it. You know,
Right.
I need a plane to fly me back from Morocco to New York every weekend.
Oh, really?
I'm sure.
No, he's just making that up.
I'm making that up, but that's not unrealistic.
But it's not
Right.
unrealistic. It would be like if when they did, during the time when they did Ishtar, Tom Hanks was famous, but he wasn't the superstar that he is now.
Right.
All right. So if that had starred Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari, like the two guys from Bosom Buddies,
Yeah.
well then that movie would have cost a lot less and would have been just as funny.
Right.
Those guys were terrific together, and they would have been really good in that role, and the film would have been seen for what it is.
Yeah.
When a film does get labeled as a bloated film, though, that is the kiss of death.
It kind of
Because the general public will turn on it then. They
But
want
you know
it to
what-
fail.
But you know what? You give those movies a couple of years, and suddenly they're like these amazing movies. They're
Waterworld?
like, oh my, well, Waterworld's a pretty fun film.
Shut the fuck up.
I kind of have a great time watching. Well, Waterworld was the first Laserdisc I ever bought. That and Days of Thunder. I bought
Here's
them
one
at
I
the
bet
same
you
time.
can't defend. Kevin Costner's The Postman.
I never saw The Postman.
I like the idea of the Postman. I remember the screenplay for the Postman was great. The idea that
I never saw The Postman, but I actually like Kevin Costner. I actually think Kevin Costner. I think Guess Who was one of the best movies.
yeah, but
made.
Kevin
Costner's
In my
fucking
lifetime.
awesome. I love that dude.
Yeah.
But you're right about
But I've always wanted to see
it's hard to defend.
I'm saying he's right about it because I've never seen it. But now that says something that I've never seen it. But I wouldn't mind seeing it. I'll bet you I don't like it.
But then there's films that are so bad they're great, like Showgirls.
I love Showgirls.
Shasta County.
Showgirls, there's nothing wrong with
I
Showgirls.
can absolutely defend
I can defend it as an entertainment.
And
piece.
Buckhorn.
I am not a so bad as good guy.
Okay,
I'm not a so bad as good guy. You are a so bad as good guy. I'm not a so bad
The
as good guy.
sex scene in the pool.
Okay, that's a little ridiculous, but yes, the sex scene in the pool is a little ridiculous. But actually, the fact that it's going for a Hollywood movie that's it's going there was actually interesting to me. But what I really liked her in it. When she beats the shit out of that guy, that's so fucking cool. When she beats the shit out of the guy at the end, and the guy who fucked over her girlfriend and like beat up his girlfriend, and then she does these spinning roundhouse kicks and beats the fucking shit out of the guy. I was like, yeah, Elizabeth Berkley, go.
What I love about Showgirls is normally a movie like Showgirls would be made for under $1 million, go straight to video, star Robert Davi, and just be this little exploitation movie. And here was an example of that being made for $60 million with Paul Verhoeven directing,
Doing whatever the fuck he wants.
doing whatever he wants, making it as big as
And we're
possible.
releasing it NC-17. Fuck
It's
you all.
basically the same as one of those sub-$1 million exploitation films. It still has Robert Davi in it. He's still playing the same part he would normally play. And so it's this opportunity to see one of those weird little, exploitation movies made in this grand fashion, in this huge fashion. It's
Showgirls
exciting.
doesn't sit on a special shelf in my heart. All right. But I really liked it when I saw it. I saw it at the theaters.
I love it when Elizabeth Berkley pushes Gina Gershon down the stairs. Is it Gina Gershon? She pushes down the stairs.
Yeah.
Like everything about that movie is awesome. I think it's great. I love the film. I love the film. I brought it up to I had a dinner once with Verhoeven and a bunch of the producers that filmed it. I started going off on it, and they all sat there at the dinner watching me go crazy over their film. And then at the end of it, one of the producers said, Well, yeah, that's all nice to hear, but really that movie was just about us doing a lot of cocaine.
That's exactly what I was just gonna say. I'm so glad you just said that because I always described that movie as a cocaine movie, and I was just casting aspersions with no evidence. But it seems like
cocaine
a
everywhere,
cocaine
apparently.
movie
Yeah.
because it seems like they thought it was great while they were doing it, but it's like, what are you doing? You know, it's one of those things where you think it's great because you're on coke.
I have a place in my heart for those big movies like that. I mean,
Like I said, that's not the one that I would. That's not the one I would make my case on. But I still don't like it. That's not my case. That's not my test case.
Well, isn't that sort of an example of what happened when the 80s were cocaine culture? The world kind of shifted from a psychedelic thing from the 60s and the 70s to a cocaine thing in the 80s, and you get movies like that.
Yeah, you get a little bit more edgy, a little less trippy.
Well, also like
Oh, yeah,
a little
there it
more
is.
ridiculous.
But
Well,
see, look at how
see,
great-
in the
look-
beginning, it's pretty good.
That's
This is
what I
pretty
call
good.
an actress dedicated to her role.
No, this is where you're losing me. This is where you're losing me. Because how are you keeping a hard on?
Yeah,
Like,
and that it's Kyle
what are you
MacLachlan of all
doing?
people.
The whole thing
Okay,
is.
but just watching Elizabeth Berkley's tits, all right, in a big studio movie like this, flopping up and down,
Well-
like I'm getting my money's worth.
Well, that was huge because it was from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, but I'm, okay, I'm not. Actually, I'm not thinking about it from his point of view.
Right.
Just ask yourself.
But it's the thing, it's like
unlikely.
everybody wants
It's
to be
unlikely
smart.
he's going to raise. And he wrote a script about Genghis Khan, and
You worked on
yeah, that I worked on with him to help turn it into a series. My daughter and I helped him with it after he had a stroke. And you look at his Genghis Khan script, and he's realistically talking about these horrific atrocities that just, sewing people up in felt and lighting it on fire and throwing them in rivers. However you can kill somebody, he figured out a way to do it better. And but at the same time, he invented paper money, and he invented the Silk Road, and he
Trade East.
pulled that whole region of the world together under one empire. And over the course of it, you start out as almost like Conan the warrior, Conan the conqueror, Conan the king. Eventually,
King
you're
by his own hand.
yeah, king by your own hand. And eventually, you start realizing.
And John Milius also wrote and directed Conan the Barbarian.
And so he rightly recognizes that it's strong men who conquer, but also who hold together and maintain order. And there's a balance to be had between force and strength, and compassion as well. Too much compassion, countries fall apart.
Yeah.
Too much interest.
The internet and social media, and there's this new thing that has overcome our minds, and it's affecting everyone in this very bizarre way, and it's making people more tribal and more inclined towards echo chambers, more antagonistic against opposing beliefs and views. So you were saying about like being able to sit and have a conversation with someone and completely disagree, but not take it personally,
Yeah.
just disagree about the points. We've lost that in our
It's
society.
really important to be able to engage with other people,
Yes.
to disagree with them,
Yes.
and then to know that that's just that. We can still have dinner together.
Oh, no,
we can
but-
still be friends.
So I go on a show and I said that I like Joker 2. Well, I say I like Joker 2, and now there's 150 articles that come out on all these cannibalized articles. One person listens to the thing and writes an article about it, and then there's 150 rip-off articles on that. And then you read the comments and say, "Man, who's a fucking asshole? That movie's fucking sucked. Man, he's a fucking asshole for saying that." Why am I a fucking asshole? I
doesn't
like
make
the
any
fucking
sense.
movie.
Yeah.
All right, that makes me a
Already, guys,
fucking
here we are.
asshole.
It's crazy.
You either like the movie, you don't. All right, and I'm not plugging the movie. I'm not saying I'm not doing anything. All right, I'm just saying I like it. So who gives a fuck what I like?
Oh
Right.
shit, Sean.
What?
I forgot my earbuds. We're gonna have to turn around.
Let's drive home? You have to turn around and go?
Yeah, we need to find a spot real quick.
We have to go back west.
We have to.
We have to go home.
We're going home, Sean.
No, we're not. We have to go around the other way.
Going home.
No, we're not going back to the house.
I'm kidding.
No, we're not.
And also,
But then I'll say I
We're not
didn't
going.
see
We're not
something.
turning.
Well, he's a fucking asshole. All right. See, I don't care what the fuck I see and what I don't see. What the fuck do you fucking care?
But there's no one in front of him to say that. He's an idiot alone with his phone. If he just said it out loud amongst reasonable people, they would turn to him and go, what the fuck are you talking about? But he doesn't get that check,
also
which is also part of the problem with social media.
give that,
Welcome to Reading.
value that. and give
Yep,
myself to
welcome
it and try to
Redding,
find in
California.
it
Here we are.
what I like
Okay,
about
guys.
it. And so I always give every
What?
movie a shake, you know, a good shake.
What's happened with our show that I think is really cool, again, for the fans that follow it and everything, is in our first season, we ended
I
up
won't talk
like
anymore. I
covering
think.
about 70 movies, you know, all together. And we mentioned a zillion movies in the course of the show, but like, you know, we covered about 70 movies altogether. And